And you know, you know, she's an angry. I'm also very interested. Oh, yeah, basically, it's just really not now. I think it's yes. I'm sorry. Yeah, I should bring this. This is too hard for you. Why is it? Yeah, what do you? Starting to get physical. Streets, knowledge brings in proposition to learning, just as water flows through my sandy well, based on how deep it is deep. With that inspiring thought, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to join the gathering of knowledge sharing. On behalf of SITS and CDAC, it is our great honor to welcome you to the workshop on engineering accessibility into India's digital transformation and technological requirements. We'll start the day with the blessings of Almighty. We'll have a small prayer now.
Vinayate Prathama Pranam Viksuvenaya Vidyam Vighneswara Vinayate Prathama Pranam Viksuvenaya Vidyam Vighna Vinasaka Buddhi Pradayaka Vighna Vinasaka Buddhi Pradayaka Vidye Vilu Shri Varadayaka Vighna Vinasaka Buddhi Pradayaka Vidye Vilu Shri Varadayaka विघ्नेश्वर विनगे प्रथम प्रणव सुदेनिय दिव्य सुदेनिय दिव्य
We have an exciting and enriching agenda lined up for today, beginning with an expert panel discussion led by practitioners from industry, academy, and government, followed by an interactive brainstorming session in the afternoon. To set the tone for the day, the welcome address will be delivered by our respective Executive Director of SETS, Dr. N. Subramanian, sir.
A very good morning to everyone. It's a very auspicious day for us to assemble together on this day because this is going to set a very foundational element for key discussions that we shared with the policymakers tomorrow. At an outset, I take this opportunity to warmly welcome each one of you. Take this opportunity to thank each one of you, first of all, to have taken all your time out and joining us here to brainstorm and share the important inputs that is going to really play a key role at a national level that we are advancing in the digital space. Words about sex, and I first of all, before getting into sex, I take this opportunity to sincerely thank our Sri S. Ramakrishnan ji, who was the earlier first Director General of CDAC, and a little bit of background about this event. So way back in 2019 onwards, we started discussing this. Those days were there in some advanced computing, and its leadership. Dr. Krishnan is there, and few other members were there. We have Ms. Aparnapati, we have various members who have been walking through us in that past. So it all started with looking at ICT impact and use cases for various application use cases and communities across. So it was felt that there is a requirement to have a standard, technical standard that would define the performance requirements and from different perspectives of usability of different user community, and then also a requirement of testing and evaluation framework and compliance conformance methods. So it was not done under the leadership of Sri Ramakrishnan. Thank you, sir. And what we could do was in the journey by 2020, we could have the Indian ICT accessibility standard under the BIS as Indian standard developed as 17802 Part 1, which talks about the requirement, generic requirement point of view from the functional performance requirements, which includes various, meeting the demands of various user community. And then the part two, which talks about the conformance and testing guidance. So this is what the journey that time is happened. So coming back, when we were writing those chapters, one chapter which was also very, one chapter what I have to focus was uh, coming up, but I feel that it needs gaps in it, other opportunities and challenges in it. How do we look at the innovation and ICT innovation and opportunity space? That is one aspect of it in solving the problem. Because we understand the advancement in sensor technology coupled with AI and cloud is enabling quite a lot of opportunity in this space. The other aspect of focus in this discussion and the panel, we thought that it should be pretty deliberate on aspects pertaining to cybersecurity, authentication, uh, those requirements, how usable and how the security is ensured from end user perspective. Also, the aspect related to privacy. When we talk about the nation rolling out the DPDPA, the nation working towards the uh, overall digital India initiative and things like that. How do we see the platform-based architectures and how security and privacy is factored in from uh, research community perspective? It also one aspect of it is also to do with cybercrime, cyber hygiene kind of perspective because it's important because digital devices are in our hands today, and how do we ensure a seamless maintenance of cyber hygiene and ensuring that the data as well as the communication of the individuals are well protected and the privacy is taken care of. So when we talk about cybersecurity and privacy and accessibility, it's an interesting topic because they're sometimes appearing as competing goals. But I think events like this would throw open challenges to those practicing professionals to be aware of it and then devise schemes to see that cybersecurity also is taken care from the security. So this is the overall kind of background. And we are actually blessed as a Society for Electronic Transaction Security. At this moment, we take the opportunity to thank former beloved Dr. Abdul Kalam ji. So, this organization was formed under his leadership and when we are not one of the team of Dr. Kalam. And we are sincerely thankful to R. Chidambaram, who was the PSA for more than 17 years in directing and guiding and orienting this organization, focus in the area of cybersecurity. So we largely, this building, we have scientists focusively working on areas of cryptography and computing. Dr. Prem was heading this activity, and we have a lot of scientists and project staff working in this area. So we understand the nuances of evolving space in the cryptographic, theoretical aspect and practical implementation in hardware and software. Similarly, we have another team on hardware security by Govindakrishnan. He's heading it, and we are one of the few labs in the country which has niche capabilities to carry out very specific analysis of crypto implementations in hardware, FPGA, and microcontrollers. And we also work with other agencies closely in developing indigenous secure microprocessor and secure hardware. We also have a team headed by Dr. Natarajan looking in the area of quantum security. So we closely work with various partners under the National Quantum Mission. We have our own activities in that on quantum key distribution and thinking of our network with quantum resilience and things like that. And finally, we have a network security headed by the team. In fact, that team is the team behind this whole event. This team is pretty unique because they have always shown to us that translation of research work in the lab we have taken our virtual private network, CA solution to the field to very strategic agencies, and it has been used in critical moments in the country when recently when country was facing. So we are very proud of all those kind of stuff. And in the last 6 months, the network security team has also got in touch with the cybercrime department in Kamsar. And we have been closely engaged with them to look at the various activities of the requirements from the cybercrime perspective. That was something new for us because from a societal perspective, we were slightly away from it because we were so much into the lab and research aspect. But then this opened us the last 6 months to closely work with the cybercrime department, and we are closely now also engaged with them in developing various solutions for addressing cyber frauds and that. In fact, mentioning something an initiative soon it will be announced. And we are going to closely work with Tamil Nadu cybercrime department in things like gamification kind of solutions for sections, largely not only in Tamil Nadu but others. So from the social perspective, this is another threat that's what we thought in the 25th year of sex journey. So this is, we are very happy that we are currently celebrating our 25 years of our presence in the space of cybersecurity. It is important that we go out and see challenges that are at the ground, and then we want to really understand it, and then we want to address these challenges. So one of these things basically is based on our earlier work along with CDAC. Certainly, thank CDAC for their participation, CDAC Chennai and Bombay. They have been pioneers in this field, and CDAC has multiple roles to play, of which one of the verticals is ICT, and they have been developing solutions and technology. The team over here is there, Suban Professor Sai, Slenali Dr. Padmaja Mushi, Michelle Park, Azim. They all have developed solutions and technologies. It's a privilege, and we are very happy to collaborate with them to also support them in their initiative because they have done a better job of bringing out the national standard for the country after studying WCAG as well as and various international standards and normalizing it and trying to see India-specific importance in it. I'm sure that Shri Ramakrishnan tomorrow will be highlighting some of those elements in its talk. So we are very happy to see that in this journey. And we are looking forward from that side to see how some of these challenges related to authentication or confidentiality and privacy, these things can be taken up and how we can build next generation very widely going to be adopted. So with this, I again take this opportunity in welcoming each one of you. It's our privilege to have you all here. We understand it's summer season in Chennai, and it's quite often people have traveled from other places and come over here. Thank you, and people within Chennai have taken train across the city to travel over here. And I am sure that these 2 days are going to be very fruitful for us as well as for engaging for you as well. And looking forward to more listening to the experts and the panel discussions and overall summary and what to start out for tomorrow's recommendation at highest level and things like that. So with this, I conclude welcome to each one of you and wish you a very pleasant learning experience and knowledge learning experience. And again, thank you for all of you coming back. Thank you.
So, for building the gathering. Now we move on to our first discussion topic technology and sector-specific requirements for academics. This session will be moderated by Mr. Sai Darshan Bhagat, scientist from CDAC, a specialist in digital inclusion at CDAC. Mr. Bhagat focused on the technical standardization of actionable solutions. His work is pivotal in ensuring that India, which does public infrastructure, remain used for all citizens, regardless of the physical or linguistic activity. I'd like to welcome the panel members to the dialogue. Professor Hemchandra Karan, Assistant Professor, IIT Madras, Assistant Professor Follow with a PhD from the University of Kansas. Professor Faris is a leading authority on university studies and inclusive education. His research on IIT Madras explores the intersection of technology, humanity, and the right of persons with disabilities in public. Next, I'd like to invite Srimati Niparna Fasi, Vice President of Professional Service from DQN, a global leader in digital accessibility. Srimati Fasi oversees large-scale accessibility transformation for major enterprises and government bodies. She is renowned for bridging the gap between complex technical standards and practical real-world usability for the end user. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. D. Govindakrishnan, founder and social activist from Mitradaya Foundation, the visionary founder of Mitradaya. Mr. Govindakrishnan has dedicated his life to help visually impaired individuals. Drawing from lived experience, he is a proven advocate for the digital literacy and economic independence, transforming lives with technology-driven digital development. Next, I would like to invite Mr. S. Satiksan, Program Officer from Karnavidya Foundation. Representing the Karnavidya Foundation, he is an expert in both vocational rehabilitation and change education for the visually impaired. His work focuses on leveraging assistive technology to enhance the quality of life and employment opportunities for the blind community. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Ms. Tainmuli, Special Educator and Ms. Montessori from Balamandir Trust. With a deep expertise in child welfare and inclusive pedagogy, Ms. Tainmuli specializes in creating adaptive educational environments. Her work at Balamandir Trust ensures that children with special needs have access to child-centric, accessible learning methodology from early ages. Thank you. I'd like to moderate this is Sai Darshan Bhagat.
Morning, everyone. As introduced by them, my name is Sai Darshan Bhagat. I work as a scientist with CDAX companies. Very good morning again to all of you. During the initial address, Executive Director Subusar had mentioned that sets is actually from the dream of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir. Yesterday, when I was preparing for this, I thought that APJ Abdul Kalam sir had given us this thought that technology has to serve people, can create societal changes without any discrimination. So actually, we are here on that point where inclusive systems, inclusive technologies, we should not leave anyone behind. That's the basic motto behind accessibility as a principle. And then I'm really happy that I have such a diverse and very experienced panel today from diverse sectors, of course. When I was reading the profiles, I realized that we are having representation from schools, IIT, such a big organization, industry, and then other NGOs, and even the vocational training centers. So I'm really happy. I mean, we had a brief introduction, but I'll just quickly take a round of quick introduction for all of them. Of course, I have Miss Aparna Pasi, who is from DQ, a company which is globally renowned for its accessibility services. People those who are here, those who work in accessibility domain, they must be knowing DQ very well. So welcome, Aparna ma'am, and thanks for it's a privilege that you are having here. Then we have when I think of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir, the first thing which comes is IIT Madras, and we have Hemant sir today. Welcome, sir, and thanks. It's a privilege. Sir is working in the area of accessibility research. He's running accessibility research center there in the IIT Madras campus. A lot of interesting work they are doing, and we are very excited to understand what exactly happened there. Welcome once again, sir. Then we have Mr. C. Govindakrishnan sir. Govindakrishnan sir is fondly known as Gopi sir in his circle. Just talking to him, and then he was very happily saying that yes, people know him as Gopi sir. So Gopi sir is working even a special cause that he's empowering people with disabilities. Because when I was reading the profiles and understanding what is Nitrodaya Foundation is doing, such an immense work these guys are doing that because I mean I myself a person with disability, it's privileged that I'm having a proper education, technical education. But when you deal with people those who are not privileged, those who are not having formal setup of education, empowering them, giving them correct skills, opportunities, and then bringing them to the mainstream. That's the basic work which is to the foundation is doing. I'm very happy that Gopal is here today. Then, of course, we have Chenmali ma'am. She is a special educator working with Balamandir Foundation and with the Trust School. And then, of course, she's someone who understands the children with disabilities, the inclusive pedagogy. I think I remember when I was working with NCRT and drafting their guidelines, realized that inclusive pedagogy is such an important thing because when you deal with children with disabilities in their primary schooling, understanding their environment, their needs, how can you teach them, what are the learning methodologies which you have to follow, that's an interesting area. And then ma'am is having expertise there. She's doing a fabulous job there in her that integrated setup which she was just explaining today morning. And then, of course, we have Mr. S. Sasikumar. Sir is from Kannada Vidya Foundation, and I'm really happy when I saw Sir's profile that Sir is having expertise in STEM education because when I was doing my engineering, being a person with disability, you have a lot of challenges when you deal with mathematical content, when you deal with technology, science, engineering. And Sir is having immense experience there in teaching and training, providing these vocational trainings, and specifically in the terms of vision impairment, they're using different assistive technologies and train these people. So I welcome all of you. And then, of course, I mean, with this quick introduction, just wanted to touch upon what you all are having specific tasks presently, what is happening in 2026. Where are we? And the main goal of this session is to basically understand the technical requirements as far as the accessibility is concerned for various sectors. You take BFSI, you take healthcare, you take education, you take e-governance, because there's a digital governance nowadays. We've realized that accessibility is an intersection which is very important. But because of the lack of awareness, we don't look at accessibility with a correct angle because accessibility has to be there by design. But unfortunately, people look at accessibility when everything ends, and which is a wrong approach. And we would like to change that, of course, in the future. I just wanted to understand what is exactly happening in the respective domain. So we'll start, first, Aparna, with you. What is happening with DQ? Where are we now as far as the accessibility standards are concerned? And then what are the technical ways in which we are actually going ahead with the future?
Um, where are we with the standards? First of all, good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking time to be here. Before I answer the questions that are given to me, I really wanted to start not the statistic, but with a moment. Right. So, a few years before, my team was working on a product, and we did our due diligence, right? Respective checklists. We have really checked every hack compliance. We have done everything that we could, and it was technically accessible. But when I was watching a person with disability interact with that product, it really hit me because technically it is accessible, but is it the same way that they are seeing? I really did not feel that. That gap between what passes a compliance, a checklist, and what actually works for a person is in many ways what has shaped everything I've done from that basis. So really, I spent the better part of my career at the intersection of accessibility, technology, and people. I touched digital products across government organizations, healthcare, and applications, education technology, whatever, right? And I always felt, or people always felt, that it is the technical challenges that are the major part. But honestly, those can be met, right? If you educate them, those can be met. But what can't be met is the understanding of the needs of people with disabilities, because we don't work with them.
They're not part of our core system. Or, when you walk into an organization and you still see accessibility as the last part of the cycle. People with disabilities, like the developers, testers who are supposed to fix these standards, do not know how assistive technologies work. What are the needs that a person with disability really has, right? How much ever we evolve with respect to standards. We are at WCAG 2.2 level, double A now, right? And then we are working towards WCAG level 3, which is a far-fetched dream because of all the things that are there. EN version 4, EN 301.509, which is standard in the European, EU region. Though every country can have their own regulations as part of EAA, is getting into version 4. So it is actually making WCAG 2.2 as a standard. And it is also adapting certain rules with respect to AI coming into there. So I think, sir, it's time for us to revamp our Indian standards as well, because we kind of based out on EN 301.509 version 3, right? From a sector perspective, I think it's a space where I find very exciting at this time, because everything is AI, right? Anything, I was at a CSUN in March, which is a assistive technology conference worldwide. It's been 41 years that it has been done. And I represented there as well. But each talking went through, it ended with AI or it began with AI. Everything is AI, right? So AI in accessibility testing, AI in accessibility, applications and everything. But the real question is AI accessible? Are we training? What is AI? We are training AI, right? Is AI accessible? No, but because if you just try giving AI a page and say test it for accessibility, and it will say, oh, it passed everything. Why? Because it passed us, or it passed any automation tool. But the real thing is, okay, explain me what you did. Oh, you know what? I didn't test the review because it is not there. Oh, you know what? I didn't test the tablets. A lot of things like this. So you cannot just take AI for granted, because AI isn't being trained for us. So really, the question here, what we have is, can AI be accessible? No, I don't think so. Are we being intentional to make sure it is? So that is where our technology or our standards are. The intentionality is something I want to keep coming back today, because that is really what we face as a challenge in the accessibility debate. And I'm genuinely looking forward to this conversation. The people around this table bring perspectives I learned now, and I don't think it will be different. So thank you for the opportunity, and I'll be here to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. You mentioned that AI is AI accessible. I don't want to name the models, but I struggle a lot whenever I send those prompts. And even for that send prompt button, I struggle a lot. So that shows that in spite of having competencies in accessing computers, because of they are not so aware about it, that happens. So great. I mean, I actually heard that what is exactly happening. So now, let's understand, because the schooling is an important part when you meet people with disabilities, children with disabilities. Then, ma'am is having an extraordinary experience there. Ma'am, what is exactly happening nowadays when you think of special education? What are the ways in which we integrate people, the students with disabilities, number one, and then how technology is helping you in just bringing them into the mainstream? What are the learning methodologies? Are you having any specific requirements in which you work with? And what are the challenges you face? That's a big question. I'm really sorry for that. I have to understand a lot of things from
It's interesting to actually share. Before I could start, good morning, everyone. And on behalf of my institution, I would like to thank everyone, the organizers and the panelists for this wonderful opportunity. So I'm basically a special educator and a Montessorian working with children in early intervention. So early intervention is from birth to 6+ years. So there happens an intervention as well as a readiness to the school. So which could be a mainstream of a special education, but primarily the readiness for a school education. So educator's mind is usually like whenever you see something around you, how is this going to be helpful for my child in the education process or the learning process? So that is how the entire thing started, because we have been running for more than 3 decades. and it is a parental intervention model. So how did technology came into the picture? Because I think last before year, when we had a smart TV in our center, so suddenly when we see a bottle inside, we feel how do I use this for my child? When I have smart TV in my center, so how do we leverage this resource for our children was the first question. So we started exploring what are the educational apps that are available in the current scenario. So we were familiar with one app which is called the Avas, which everybody would be aware of, and that too we use only for specific children. So when it comes to educational app, what are the current availability? So the first constraint we had was there were apps which were very focused on ASD, number one. Again, a particular domain like communication or the cognitive functioning, the higher end of the performing children. So, but we had children who are a combination of different age groups, different diagnoses, like it starts with cognitive impairment as a base, and then ASD or Down syndrome or cerebral palsy or multiple disabilities. We have different combination. We don't want to get into a situation where we just stick on to one format. So the search kept on went with what is available for the special needs. So there it ended. We just went to see what is available for so-called typically developing child. So there we came across multiple apps which were available offline because we couldn't afford for an online mode. So the next criteria was which is available offline. Third, there was no one app which would be completely used for all the children. So what we did is we chose the activities whichever will suit for our children at different levels so that the session can be extended for all the children above 5 years. So we had multiple apps. So we took multiple apps and then multiple activities. Then after getting all this into the picture, we wanted to get into the experimental stage last year. So there, what happened was we couldn't completely rely on the app itself because it was a content-based app. It had a set activities which is fixed for any child. But we all know that when it comes to the children with special needs, it is not every child is like same. They have individual abilities, individual needs, which needs to be catered to. So there we again had a challenge wherein we need an intervention of an educator. Deciding which activity I would be giving for each and every child. So that was again bothering because the special educator has to be more aware. It shouldn't get into a gaming mode. So all this was a concern. So then comes a part where, okay, I have special educators have intervened. So what next? So then comes a mode where there is a repetition. All the apps had, n number of repetitions. People can, keep on repeating the activities as many times as they wanted to. So which again was a very big constraint because I have to make sure that the child doesn't repeats it meaninglessly. Otherwise, it will become like I'm doing an activity with no purpose at all. So I have to map it with it. I will be off. So then comes a situation where the screen time is a problem. We had doctors coming in and everybody keep on telling us these children were already exposed to phones, apps, and so many other things. So how do I convert this into a therapeutic mode of, having an assessment done, a goal-oriented, and it's very purposeful. So then comes the screen time. So we made it as a group session, not one-on-one. So there are 3 people so that the session is carried out in such a way that the child can go and work in the screen only when their turn comes. So we have specific objectives with which we started off. One is even with multiple disabilities, how could the range of movements be improvised? So that when they get back to the classroom environment, how this helps them in their performance. Second is the interactive learning. As we all knew, they have difficulties in the communication and socialization. So how to work on that aspect. Third is the generalization. So we see them learning in a classroom environment. Though they are more connected to the daily living situations, are they able to reinforce that in a digital platform? So that is the 3 objectives. But in each and every stage, there are constraints which requires that we would be thinking that what if there is an app which is individual based, where I'm a special educator. So the app gives me an admin control for each and every child. I can create a profile. So for this level of child and these abilities, I can map. Say, example, I wanted to focus on the communication or for the attention or for the range of movement. So what is the activity that I can map at an admin level so that the child sees only those activities that can be accessed, number one. Number 2, so that there is no manual intervention much. It can be controlled by the admin. The entire IEP can be worked out. That becomes a customization. Second, how do we control the repetition? So there is a prerequisite skills which the child has to need to go to the next level. So how can I work with the unlocking methods? Say if the child completes this activity for these many times for so much accuracy, then it automatically unlocks to the next level. So this minimizes the overusage or getting into a gaming. Third is again, in spite of doing all these and seeing, surprisingly a good outcome and a high student engagement, still we lack some kind of a dashboard to present it. It's only the video format which we were able to represent to the management or to the parent themselves saying that it can be worked in this model. We didn't have any profile saying that the student progressed from this level to the next level. And this is how digital platform is helping the child to learn. So such kind of progress tracking was also not available. Most importantly, language barrier. So we are in South and especially in Tamil Nadu. So I have to completely mute the audio and then work with my interaction with the child. So there is a language barrier in every app that it is only based out of English. And then the cost attached to it. There is specific apps which were designed for autism. But even to try it for a subscription, it led me only through the payment mode. So even for a free trial, we need to give all the payment details. So that restricted to even try and see whether it will be workable for our children. So I think, first is the cost aspect, the language barrier, the customization, the repetition and the screen control, which needs to be controlled at admin level. And finally, the outcome of it to be tracked in a dashboard. So these were the things that were striking from the special educator's perspective. If an app could be designed in this manner, it will be much more helpful for the children in this age group.
I must acknowledge that that was an insightful. Researchers, scientists are sitting here, and I'm just thinking that my bosses are also listening, and a lot of problem statements are coming for us. That what exactly we need to solve in future? How can we look at accessibility? Because you just mentioned a point, we always make that point whenever we go for the presentations, that each user is different and his needs are different. So you have to customize the application, the software, the solution in such a way so that you can cater to a lot of audiences, number of people. You're not restricted to a specific covered audience. And I must appreciate that. You're doing a fabulous job, and it's very insightful. We have to understand a lot of things, and then I'm looking forward to this. That's great. So now let's go and understand from S. Kumar sir. Sir, I mean, your profile speaks that you do vocational training for people with disabilities, specifically for vision impairment. And then you always have a training for assistive technologies. What exactly happening in STEM? How people are learning these STEM topics? What are the challenges? And then any specific technology in which you are really impressed and then things are moving the right way?
Okay, good morning, good morning, everyone. I respected days on the days of the days. And I'm from Karnataka Foundation. In the last 10 years, we work for personal future empowerment and different modes of education and empowerment through technology supports. In the last 10 years, as per our experiences, and we understood that technology can be the key to support or empower the person, students with visual impairment. Then we introduced the technology in all the special school and the inclusive school in across 3 states. And the students began to learn technology, and they enabled to be an independent in accessing technology. But the thing is, when the students started to use technology, they must use for their academic supports. For that, we are having very much inaccessible material. So there are very less academic material to read and write the students to be completely independent. Again, they have to go for dependent to your sighted users to read a print material. And for that to resolve that, KV has been producing an e-publishing unit to make all the e-contents in an accessible format, which includes textbooks and e-guides and question banks. And that is how the Karnataka has been making the students to read their textbooks for their academic supports through technology support. And with the support of that, the students started to read their materials on their own. That is the first major challenges, and then we have been supporting this. But my request is to the government and the who are publishing the books. See, after publishing the books, they should not go for the accessibility support. We even when they create a book, they can do the accessibility support. because they should not keep it as a exclusive idea. See, visual impairment and disability is not an exclusive one. It's an inclusive society, and we are also an inclusive members in the society. Then whoever is creating and the design itself, they must think about that in their accessibility. So should be that can be a mandatory one to create an accessibility. So that's the first thing. And after that, introducing technology, they started to read and they want to write their exam. They are writing the exam. Even the last 2 years, they have been writing the exam with the support of technology. But that has to be increased. For that, the question papers must be given in an accessible format. That should not be in an inaccessible format. So if it is an accessible format, so the students need not to depend upon any scribe or readers to understand the question. They can answer completely independent. And we are receiving the many information from the student side, and the whomever is the scribe, they are telling that don't please tell very less amount of the answers because I'm unable to write. See why this must happen? Why it should be different? Yeah, the readers are scribes to answer for that my exams. So I can be completely independent. I'm independent in technology. So that what I have come that all the question papers has to be completely accessible. And the third thing, so coming to the STEM educations. See, in the childhood itself, there was a belief the visual impairment cannot pursue math and science. But that is that is where it is not because of the disability, it's because of the inaccessibility. If the material is in accessible mode, each and any disability can pursue the math and science subject. If in the childhood itself, if the subject can be the for the math and science, if they have a proper diagrams in an accessible format, the students can read and write, and even they can touch through tactile diagrams and make 3D, 2D material. They can understand, and they will be creating a curiosity to learn math and science, and then we can see in upcoming years there are many scientists and mathematicians from the visual impairment side. So if it is a complete accessibility, and going to the employment side, and we train most of the job seekers, and they have been trained and they are going for after completion of the training, they are going for private jobs and government jobs. And there we are seeing many inaccessible areas. See, even applying that exam, that form is not accessible. So we need to depend somebody to apply it sometime. And even when we go and write the exam, IBPS, SSC, even railway exam, it is in computer-based exam. And that computer-based exam, not even a single point of accessibility, there they are providing a scribes. The scribe will be writing. We don't know whether they are marking a correct answer or wrong answer. Again, there, because of the inaccessibility, we are losing our opportunity to clear our exams to go and work. Even after clear the exam, when we go to work in a workplace, even many of our even government officers, they don't know how to provide a job of your roles and responsibility to them, whatever the been prescribed in the document, and they have not been followed because of the inaccessibility. Because this you can do, this you cannot do. That see, they have prescribed. These are all the person responsibility. But this I can do, I cannot do. A person who is working in the office, I only should design because if all the systems and that workplace rules, everything if it is accessible, I can do. So after clearing exam, I'm going, but instead of doing my role, they have been providing some other roles to do that because of this inaccessibility. This all has to be made and in an accessible mode. And the final one, even to apply leaves and e-office and e-HRMS, that's all inaccessible. That is a complaint. Even WCAG guidance is there, section 508 is there, even RPWD, everything is existing. But in implementing and following, that is not happening. That all has to be made a mandatory one to follow. Only then from education and employment, even our daily livings, everything can be completely independent by the your personal social environment if everything is accessible. So if it is an inaccessible, education it restricts and employment is the limit, and my career opportunity is completely limit. Only you can do this task, that, or that is its roots for the person with visual impairment. So my humble request from the design itself, you can do the accessibility support. That will be very much helpful for the person with visual impairment in all the stage. Thank you so much.
I'm really happy that you raised with few important points, and I mean I can completely relate to those main points because when I was doing my engineering, having my vision impairment, understanding mathematical content, because most of these time when I'm learning computer programming, they were teaching everything on a blackboard, and most of the content was inaccessible. Initially, they thought this person is not talking because he's not able to understand anything. When I used to go back to home, I used to prepare, and next day I used to do better programs than other peers. Also, the point here is I was leaving behind because of the inaccessible environment, not because of my discipline. And you rightly mentioned that point. It is extremely important that we have to design everything right from the day one. You have to consider accessibility. Extremely important point. And I'm really happy that you are raising it on a stronger note. Now let's reach out to Gopi sir. That what exactly is happening in Netrodaya, and then what do you think? I mean, as a barrier when it comes to employment, empowerment of person with disabilities, because skill-based training is extremely important point. Because everyone is not as educated where the actual industry is needed. I mean, because the industry standards are very different. But you have a number of people those who are still not having complete education, but they are having different skills. So how Netrujaya is helping them, number one. And then what do you think about technology? What is exactly is happening? Do you really feel that technology is an enabler at this moment?
So, first of all, I'd like to thank the entire team who has invited me to this wonderful event. This is very special. We need to really talk about it, to voice our concerns, which are very vital. When you look at the technology, my suggestion to the government, we need to nationalize assistive technology. You don't want people to sell it at a larger cost. Any technology which we are inventing, which we are coming to the market, it has to be at a very reasonable, affordable, and it has to be more user friendly. That's the first and foremost concern of our community. So the majority of our requirements is not fulfilled. Now it is an election season, and all other non-disabled, while going for exercising their franchise, they are the privileged. They are fortunate, and they are able to cast their voting with a lot of confidence, secrecy, a lot of accountability. Why I say this, and all of you have got that privilege of seeing really that this, which will show the symbol, party name, and the candidate's name. Once you press the button, there'll be 7 seconds that particular symbol will appear, and the cited community and all others, they'll be able to see, and they go with confidence, oh, they voted for the right symbol. When it comes to visually impaired, we are the deprived lot. They say you take some person along with you. Why should I do that? When technology is readily available, there's an audio maybe bad, which is readily available. And the election commission is not considering, they've taken the matter to the chief election commission. And now this election is going to happen within another 20 days. They've taken the matter to the chief electoral officer. There is a technology which is readily available. Why not integrate with EVM machines? Once this technology is integrated, I'm sure the visually impaired and the print and disability and the mobility impaired, there are so many, and illiterate, elderly people, everybody may have to benefit out of it. This is something which is need of that. This is a pressing need. When the technology is available, even the election commission is not trying to incorporate in their process. They say they are giving braille sheets. How many of us know braille? Braille is outdated now. The majority of our visually impaired community, they hardly read braille textbooks. Now they have moved towards voice-enabled software. There are many technology which the visually impaired are able to access. And there is a social uh, stereotypic impressions. They always feel that the non-disabled community can go non-traditional, and we, the visually impaired, has to remain traditional. That is not the right approach. We are not saying no to brain. There are many other support services where the visually impaired are able to shine better. And we also insist children at the primary and secondary, they should have some idea what the brain so that they be well versed in spellings, they're able to understand the concepts, all that is there. On a longer run, once they start advancing the technology, which is very essential for their overall development. But another important factor I see, we talk about accessibility in rails, handrails, ramps, and rail signages. It is not sufficient. We need to look beyond. If a visually impaired goes to a toilet, how will he able to locate the urinal point? How will he able to exactly go into the toilet? It will be really tough. We need to literally use our hands. It's totally unhygienic. Once we have an audio-enabled toilets, which are highly beneficial to the visually impaired. Without a technology of light, you can't use your toilets. If you're sighted, if you're visually impaired, without sight, without a light, you're not able to use toilets. I can challenge for the sighted community. When you are able to provide technology of a light to use your toilets, you should also have a similar system, which is called audio-enabled toilet. You should have this one more switch along with the light switch. That will really enable visually impaired to switch on the light, that particular switch. Once they switch on the switch, they go to the exact point. I would like to give a comparison. If you misplace your mobile, you give a ringtone. You navigate, you locate your mobile by that particular ringtone sound. You navigate and locate your mobile. Similarly, once we have that particular sensor, audio-enabled sensor, which are fixed in that particular point, that will give a big sound. And we'll be able to go exactly to the point, we'll be able to do the toileting with without any issues. Today, we are facing a challenge by using toilets, where this scientific community, the research community, they are more concerned about the ramps, handrail, and they talk about all other features. When it comes to visually impaired, there is not much happening. Say about the audio mirrors. Wherever I go, I address this issue. When you step out from your home, you will see the mirror. Without seeing the mirror, you will never come out from your home, because you need to make yourself, confirm that I am presentable, I'm looking perfect. And this confirmation you are able to get only through a mirror. For a visually impaired, we need an audio mirror. Once we have an audio mirror at our residence, we'll be able to go near to that, and it will give all these inputs that your dress is matching, your comb your hair. There are so many things which we need to confirm. So all that is going to happen only if we have this audio mirror. These are no ideas which are feasible once our research community, throw some light on this particular aspects. I'm sure our visually impaired will able to enjoy the maximum out of it. Now, people say that we are independent. I, I don't buy this argument. We are interdependent. We can't say that we are independent. Somehow or other, we need to depend on someone. The degree, the ratio, that really matters. What has happened to general public, they always say that you people are unfortunate, you are deprived. Yes. I feel really saddened by such comments. When I go and watch a movie, the real uh, uh, issue which I face in watching a movie, all the male artists, they give their original voice for dubbing. When it comes to female artists, there is one particular female dubbing artist. She gives voice to all female actresses. If I go and watch any movie, the same one, and then how am I going to differentiate whether it's Jyotika, Hassan, or there are so many other artists? How will we able to differentiate? Whether this, no, you need to be more sensitive, which is lacking when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to sports. There are so many challenges the visually impaired are facing. The affordability, the blindness is not an issue. Poverty is a real issue. All our technology, which are increasing alarmingly, it is very expensive. It is unaffordable. I want our Indian government to pay more attention to make this more affordable. When I met the Honorable Prime Minister at Rashtrapati Bhavan, kindly, give us GST relief for all our accessory devices. It is still my request is pending. It has come down from 18 to 5. I'm sure days are not too far. Our Honorable Prime Minister will consider. And once this GST is exempted, I'm sure these prices are going to come down. And the larger population going to benefit. And by doing this, our country is going to give a strong statement to the world. All our commodities and all our devices are really affordable and everybody are able to use at ease. And all these facilities which we always look for, which are going to be much easier for the differently able community to avoid. I'm sure coming days it's going to be a real, positive trend is going to happen. And with all these panel members, then the team, the scientific community have come down to attend this event. These are the important key points which we would like to highlight, and I'm sure Netrunga will give a fight, and we will succeed. Thank you.
Extremely thoughtful on the technology. One of you just mentioned that you wanted to raise something.
Yes. Thank you for all those points, very valid points. This is where I think the technology aspect of it just struck me here. Just a question to all of you. How many of you watch non-mother tongue language movies? Telugu, Tamil, you don't have any. How do you watching this? Why are subtitles actually? Why are they needed? What is the more need for it? So someone who is hard of hearing, right? And we're not taking the benefit of it. Now let's talk about how many of you listen to books, audible books. Why we all can see, right? Whoever raised the hands, I can see we all can read. Why are we still using it? It's ease. I'm washing my dishes, I'm cooking, let me read a bill and listen to a book. That's all correct, right? It is not. I always say, treat it as a pension for your old age. You don't want to go to someone and say, can you tell me my balance in the account? It can be 100 rupees, it can be 100 lakhs. Doesn't matter. The privacy matters, right? And it is all there. Again, what rightly sir said, right? AI can do it. Computer vision can identify things if rightly done, if it is made accessible. So it's not that technology isn't there. It is us. We are blocking the ability for everyone to be inclusive because exclusion is very, very easy, right? I can exclude very easily. Being inclusive is 100 times harder. But if we start doing that right from the beginning, things will change for us. Policies, it has to be made stronger, right? Enforcement. So we have policies. I can pay 5,000 fine and get away with an inaccessible website. Can I pay 5,000 and get away because I don't have to spend 5 crores on it. That's not the thing. You talk about Western countries, it goes in billions, millions. A pizza site that we all are very, very fond of actually fought it to the Supreme Court in the US, lost, and they lost there. So they spent in the law part of it, in all the court proceedings, and they are revamping their website just because a blind user requested that I cannot take this offer. I need this offer. You're giving it. Give it to me. And the person of the help desk said, no, this is something that you can only use from your, and that app is not accessible. So all they did is, okay, I take you to the court. They lost. And we still are, known for it. We still go to it. But that's not the thing. Like, you don't even have to fight. You have to start being inclusive. You have to start having that habit. And that happens only with advocacy. Each one of you can go back and talk to 10 people about this. Because it is a curve effect, guys. It is curve effect. You are not doing any good deed. Right? This is something that we can do minimal things. Because rightly pointed out, sir said these are more expensive. But if we can make these things inbuilt right from the beginning, our smartphones have each of that. Right? They have the enablements. And everyone are using smartphones. It is more on us, whoever is developing here, who's ever thinking of a product. Think right from the beginning. Accessibility, shift left. That is always, even shift left is no longer really the norm. It is not a best practice, it's a norm. That's how I. Thank you.
Thank you. I always, when we go for the presentations, it is always a known thing that accessibility leads to innovation. That's what you just mentioned, that for subtitles, you have these audible books, you have Google Maps showing you the audible navigation. Everything is, even a typewriter is designed for a person with disability. The whole world is using it. Accessibility leads to innovation.
But we're still stuck with rail and rail.
With the acceptance again, I can completely understand. Now, when it comes to innovation, I mean, let's turn to Professor Sir from IIT. And then, because I kept you specifically at the last, because sir, with the personal agenda, I've always dreamed of going to IIT. I never got an opportunity to ask question to a professor from IIT. I'm really happy, honored that you're here. So, of course, straight question that you've been working on this accessibility research center. There's a lot of activities are doing there and the multiple disciplines. You just mentioned in the morning that how you look at it when it comes to technical specifications or a standard for a specific sector. For example, BFSI, health, education, e-governance. What do you think that do we need to have a common policy or these specific sectors? Or each sector has a specific requirements and we have to draft it according to their own preferences. What do you think about it?
No, I'm a teacher, so. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, thank you, sir. I mean, I'm very humbled by all the presentations that went before. because they have said everything I have to say. So, I mean, with that said, I will add a few lines. See, let's put it this way. So I put an interesting question to me. Should be there's one click solution for everything, or there should be local? Let's do both. It's a very convenient answer, but also actually founded by practical experiences we have gained. Between my firm, Dr. Kaltika, and the top, raise your hand so that everybody can see you. So we work together for what we call the Accessibility Research Center. We are see, basically, it has come from one big necessity. That is how to fix disciplines instead of fixing people with disabilities. Okay. So the traditional approach, when it came to accommodation, colleges, universities, schools, say, suppose I'm a vision impaired student, want to study, say, computer science or mechanical engineering or literature. One of them, not all the three. So I go there and disability assessment team may do the following. They may give me NVDA and JAWS. I'm not getting into the fight about which is better, which is a very nice argument, empowering and also. So they give that. They may give a laptop. They may give me a lab assistant. They may give me a scribe, write the exam, or if I'm very proficient with writing math or writing language based disciplines like literature and philosophy. So they may just give me a laptop and I merely go with the exam and so on. My dear friends, this must continue. There's no doubt about that. Because this is empowerment. But there is the other side of the coin. Are disciplines ready to accommodate people with disabilities? The answer is a big no. How do we know? Well, see, let us now think loudly. What is a discipline? I'm not giving a big lecture, so don't worry. Any discipline, my dear friends, is made up of the following five components. One, it is made up of one area of knowledge. Physics, laws of nature, and what is nature. That's it. This is called physics. Literature, human expression collected together. And how do we learn it, teach it, and how do we make use of it for the goodness of humanity. That's it. So like this, 2-3 sentences can capture any discipline. But the devil is in the detail. Yeah. So any discipline will have the second component, supervision. How do teachers teach in the class? How do doctoral supervisors deal with PhD students? How field work is executed? How lab is conducted? So this is also second. The third component is knowledge gathering. If it is physics, then they will capture all the theorems for the mathematical equations, biographies of scientists, and so on, formulated, and also formulating what is happening. The fourth component is inclusion, meaning physics, one who have opted for physics, then they will say, okay, this is the way we will work on the lab together. You can take care of mathematical, putting mathematically what is happening. You take care of computation. you take up actually observing whether the model is working on it, say in the CERN reactor, CERN lab, whether photons collide, when they collide, what the equipment, what it has captured. So, some thousand people may experiment in work. And finally, course material. Last but not the least, actually. Well, it is the fundamental thing. So how to build knowledge systematically from A level, ground zero to doctorate and zero. So because knowledge is cumulative, knowledge is not random. Okay, it is carefully orchestrated. No matter which discipline, there is great care is taken at what level, how much knowledge should be given, at what level, how that knowledge should be given. See, these are the 5 stages, whether the founders of disciplines, new and old, some disciplines are 3,000 years old, some disciplines are 30 years old. It doesn't matter, all the disciplines are same. However, are they thinking about accessibility right from the bottom? AI is an evidence, AI is a new discipline from 1956. It's 50 years old, 60, 70 years. Yeah. Has it has it transformed? No, not at all. That's not the idea. It comes to gets fixed later on. Similar problem, horns, disciplines like physics and so on. Literature. Right. Okay, what are we going to do? Well, this is the problem. We know that 5 aspects of discipline that I talked about: supervision, design, material, supervision, patterns, and so on. People are not thinking of accessibility. What is accessibility? A mindset that says there are million ways of doing the same thing. That's it. That's what accessibility. We don't have to be dogmatic. Nonsense. There are many ways of doing the same thing. That's what accessibility. So disciplines have not yet accommodated. So what do we do? How to fix it? Well, really go after people who have achieved something. So at the Accessibility Research Center, we really go after people who have achieved something expected results. For example, we really like to go against common sense. If you're blind, you cannot do camera. If you're blind, you cannot do it. You have nothing to do with it. Right? You are autistic, you have nothing to do with logic. You have nothing to do with it. So these are all common sense statements, actually. Yeah. So common sense is dog. Common sense can be crime. Common sense is can be a human. My dear friends, if we doubt common sense, that is the beginning of successful thinking. So we really go after people with the condition, say, person with autism who has achieved something great in literature, a blind person who has achieved strides in landscape painting, a blind person who has achieved great strides in photography. Do you see what is happening? Going against common sense. An artist, a schizophrenic artist who has achieved something in the art of craft of writing, physics. So basically, we call this the D&D problem. Do not disturb. We call it disability and disciplines problem. So all disciplines, they have to be fixed from the bottom up so that they are accessible to public conditions. That's the ambition. Let's scratch the surface. We'll do it more. Thank you.
So when you acknowledge that this answer shows that what exactly happening in life. That answer is so sophisticated, it is so mature, and it is so thought-provoking that people have to understand accessibility from that lens. I'm really thankful to you for that. Very interesting answer. So now, again, when we think of children with disabilities, when we think of different sets of requirements. Then, for example, you had mentioned that you faced certain challenges while dealing with those applications. Our question is very straight. Just wanted to know that now we are in this 2026 that a lot of developers, designers, ecosystems are vibrant. Even in the state in which we are in, a lot of startups are coming in. What do you think that what are the gaps present in the application and the technology ecosystem in which we are in? And then what are the features you are looking for in any future releases? And then what do you see basically then what technology can you to make it better for?
So from the experience that we had in the last 2 years, the first gap is even to try, there should not be any cost attached. Because when we are talking about accessibility, it should reach even to the least person. It shouldn't be only as people, everybody over here in the panel said, it shouldn't be for only for the affordable category. So it should be available even for the least people. So which means that the cost and the language barrier would be the major thing. When it comes to sound specifically, it is multilingual. So it has to provide the options in different languages which the child is familiar to. So the cost and the language becomes the first criteria. Third one is customization. Customization here, I mean that it shouldn't be specific to one domain, targeting one particular category of children. Let's say example, it should not, target for a communication alone or cognitive alone or to the ASD children alone or only to mild IE children. It should be accessible for all the children in all the categories. Only then it can cater to the needs. So third is the suitability of that. Fourth is it should be replicable model. Like it should not be content driven, rather it should be intervention driven. So when it is content driven, it is only that we are making the child or the person with disabilities trying to adapt to that particular content. But rather it should be intervention model where we are trying to adapt the content itself to the needs of the children. And fourth is we keep seeing that parents or everybody thinking that technology is being that has been one of the reasons for the cause of children not relating. But how to best leverage that particular resource? Because we can't say that because smartphone is having a lot of security issues or creating a lot of time wastage, everything, we still use the smartphones. So we are not away from the smartphone. Similarly, we can't completely move away from technology, but how to make it more suitable for these children with all these screen controls, repetitions, so everything when it is controlled rightly, it becomes more of an intervention therapeutic model rather than just as an activity or a gaming mode. So that will be a kind of admin. And fifth one is, the presentation of that in a more of dashboards. Because unless you are able to have it, the outcome in a readable manner, nobody will understand the impact of it. Say, today when I see, after working for 1 or 2 years with the children with the smart class, I could see the outcomes visibly in me. But to convey that to the common public or to everybody who is working on it, it becomes really challenging. I have to only play the video and show. And not every time it is easy for me to take a video because sometimes when I'm dealing with children with multiple disabilities, I will have to be giving the support to them, motivating them, engaging them in the screen. So it becomes very difficult. But if the app itself can track the progress, it will be more easy. So these could be certain aspects which, from an educator's perspective, we will be looking into the apps.
Most appreciated. And then you precisely mentioned what exactly is happening, where are the gaps, and then researchers and scientists sitting in the room, they have got enough stimulus for their brains where exactly it can go, and I'm really happy for that. Really, this is the main intention behind this event. Really thankful for that. Now, Sasikumar sir, would like to know from you, when it comes to STEM education, what are the technologies? You mentioned about technology that accessibility is again the biggest concern. That content is not accessible, it is not designed properly. You have a lot of inaccessible books. But when someone, X person is developing software for STEM education, what are all features will be? It has to. You expect to be there when it comes to STEM. And then another point, I'm really satisfied with the existing assistive technologies.
So whatever the existing materials currently we have, so that there we need to increase the accessibility. So as you asked the first question about the children's, So the material for the STEM educations, that knowledge has been provided from the 0 to at least 10 years, from the classes 1 to 5. The primary knowledge must be given to how can we get the 3D diagrams, 2D diagrams, tactile, because without giving these knowledges straight away, we cannot give the materials 3D 2D tactile materials in the 6th standard or 5th standard. I think the students did not understand how the diagrams can be. So, yes, non-disabled children will be having a plenty of knowledge by seeing. They can understand how the rose looks like, how the office looks like, how the tiger looks like. So the same knowledge must be given from the LKG, UKG, and the first, second standard. If they touch and felt that if they are having their good knowledge about the material, and in the next upcoming classes, they can easily understand that whatever the existing material are having, they can pursue, and even if that accessibility support is required, they are able to adapt, or they are able to customize it based on their childhood knowledge. So that has to be given. So if it done, then that will be very much helpful. And the second thing, there are plenty of applications are there to pursue STEM education, to read the contents and write the math equations and everything. But even though we need many accessible supports for that, see, writing math, what like graphs, and writing a straight line, and writing a diagrams, doing a geometry. There are plenty of materials are available, but we can do the as an experiment and do the exercise in our classroom, but that we cannot take into the exams, because that is not allowed one, and that is not an accessible also when we are presenting in the exams. So that has to be modified, even with the step by step how to do with the support of technology. And that has been all about that in SC, NCERT syllabuses there that few students have been doing in North India. By doing, there are many math applications is supporting effectively to do math and science subjects, and that has to be trained to the students to pursue that math and science subject, and even more that accessibility support has to be given. There are many applications coming. Partially they are accessible. I cannot say that that is completely accessible. That need more accessible supports. So this is thank you.
May I add a word?
Yeah, please.
See, sorry, actually, assistive technology, plenty are there, but optimal usage is not there. See, what is the problem is affordable. That is, how do I, suppose I use JAWS, how do I use it to its fullest in designing high quality documentation? See, if I have to prepare an essay, then okay. If I have to prepare a research paper, then it's different, you see. If I have to prepare a postcard or an invitation, then it is different. If I have to do it for advertisement material, then it is. And then if I have to fill it up with so much of visual content, then it is different. So optimal usage, training is lacking, or training is available in a scattered form around the globe, or training that comes with a huge paywall. So what we need to do is, the need of hour is make training, highest quality training available in public, open domain. That's the best way to blast it. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
It's important. Thank you for your points, because it's coming from the professor of biology. I really think accessibility has to be part of the curriculum in engineering, in design, because
Fantastic idea.
yeah. When in fact we have started in Carnegie Mellon, that's where in information systems we had a course which is very specific to accessibility, not about compliance, not about checkpoints, checklists, or anything, but understanding, as you rightly said, I can stop hours together on MBTA versus JAWS, and I'll always say MBTA because of everything else, apart from the cost. I don't think even the 20 years of experience, I know how well to use NVDA, right? Even when I see the users, there are a variety of them. They know how to change a punctuation or how to get the special characters announced when some don't. And that is something, as you rightly said, it has to be no more brave. Everyone, I don't know, it is, I understand the cost, it is, associated with expenses, but we need to provide certain infrastructure to schools, blind schools, or schools, educational institutions which are supporting people with kids with disabilities, so that they get that right infrastructure, environment right from the beginning. Right? It is no more. It shouldn't be that someone else will write the exam, as rightly pointed out, because West school doesn't do that, right? Stanford University got sued because of their material isn't accessible. They took out the course and then they enabled with the accessible PDFs. So why are we not doing enforcement? Policies are there, enforcement isn't there at the level we need to have it. So yeah, training, advanced training, and I personally see people with disabilities employed because it is an initiative in the organization. Right? I have to have that. Either it is women. If the women are more, then okay, I'm diversified. If not, okay, people with disabilities. And they sit on empty tables and chairs, not doing nothing. That is waste of their intellectual ability. And another humble request I have is don't see them as an inspiration. They are using their abilities to the best to do things that it's something I'm then when I say, oh my God, she is such an inspiration. No, they're not. They're using their abilities to the best. The problem is we as society are failing them because we are not giving them the required infrastructure, required tools, which we are all taking for granted. Right? One of our family members maybe will be able to effort, but there are people who live on a daily living, and those kids will always continue like that because of the situations, and that is where we really have to change. That's when we become true change. So hopefully we'll come to that day someday in my life.
Absolutely. Thanks for that point. And I have to mention that CDAC, with the related ministries, we are trying a level best to come up with the accessibility course or module in graduation and upper the other courses in which this has to be the topic, because whenever people will go on the floor, they are available.
Yes.
Because nowadays what is happening, I have to go and I have to convince people.
Yes.
So my job, I can spend my effort, my time, my resources on development and design, not on convincing people.
Yep.
And that's the main thing. So I'm really happy that you raised it. Bobby sir, one quick question to you. Because I know that I'm just shooting a time. I'm really sorry for that. But discussion is going so tense and we are just getting a lot of points. So I have to continue that. So Bobby sir, quick question that when it comes to Netrodaya, you've just been doing this absolutely fabulous work there. And then specifically when people, you see them that with certain skills, they can become employment and then employable and then they get unemployment. What are the skills you feel that presently, because 10 years ago things were different. Now with this new decade, the things are completely different. So what are the new skills you feel that people with disability should adopt, number one? And then do you really feel those skills are there and then do you have trainers for them?
Yeah, there's a very pertinent question. The present generation, which I strongly recommend, they have to be more skilled because many of our visually impaired students they are qualified and they have got humpy number of certificates. Once they are in the job market, they are lacking in skill sets. And another important point, they are unable to appear for the competitive exams. The logic, reasoning, all that they find it extremely tough to manage. So they have to develop how to face competitive exams, and they also to be empowered with skill sets the very important thing which I noticed in the today's world, there is a new disability which is emerging, which is teaching disability. The majority of our faculty are not qualified. Even though they are qualified, they are unable to share their knowledge to the right uh, uh, disability. That's the real issue. For this, my suggestion and my recommendations, we have to make our BA curriculum inclusive. Rather having general BA and special BA, let's have inclusive BA. Once we have this model, in all these educators, they're able to teach disabled and non-disabled at an equal footing. And now we don't have such facilities. Now we are trying to manage all these inclusion, these jargons, and they start trying to blow their trumpet. They say that no, these children are in general school. The teachers, the general educators are given orientation to teach the special children, which is not the right approach. We need special educators who are qualified in specific disability. You hardly see teachers, special educators who are teaching visually impaired in inclusive schools. More importantly, for the maths and the science. Majority of the special educators are from IT or from HI. You rarely see special BA PI teachers who are there in inclusive schools who are teaching the visually impaired. This is a very disturbing trend which is prevailing in today's inclusion. I'm sure days are not too far. And my dream, I want the non-disabled children to come and join in our special schools. Let's have an integration. Why are you, when any foreign studies, there are an exchange program. The abroad students come to our country and our students will go to their country. When it comes to inclusion, it only emphasizes the special children are to be taken into general schools. We need non-disabled students to come and join in a special school where these special children and the non-disabled children, they integrate. And this is going to really benefit our children, where they will have an absolute opportunity to compete in sporting arena, where in general schools, they are being sidelined and they are asked to stay away. And you see co-curricular activity, extracurricular activity, all those very important facets which the special children are missing in inclusive setting. So once we are able to see general students, the non-disabled students coming to special school, they are also going to have an absolute learning platform because the special educators are qualified to teach non-disabled children, whereas the general educators are not qualified to teach special children. That's a very clear distinction we need to understand. And when it comes to employment, we need to promote more and more employment opportunities. Rather sticking on to arts group, let's have teachers and professors or into all other BPOs. There are a number of fields where the visually impaired or any other disability, the so-called corporates, CSR is only on the funding mindset. CSR has to move ahead. They should try to give more and more opportunities for persons with disability to be employed in various other departments. They need to really shine unless you provide them an opportunity, how are they going to prove their ability? We always have a saying, knock the tea off its card. You can. So whenever a visually impaired or idea, no, you can't. It will be difficult for you. It will be not advisable for you. So they come up with lots, ifs and buts, do's and don'ts. Let's put full stop to all these no mindset and be open in accepting in giving opportunity for the persons with disability in more strings. Once this uh, mammoth task, which is going to be achieved, I'm sure the world is going to be more and more um, user friendly, and our with disabled community will have a wonderful place to survive.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for those words. I think we are running out of time, and then I have to wrap my things. With the last question to all of you, quick answer again. Then, ma'am, we'll start from you. One line that what do you want to change when it comes to assistive technologies and the research which is happening. Single line. I know tough, but still.
So we keep talking about inclusion, but as we all said, there is nobody who can be excluded. So there is nothing called as excluded. So whenever we are thinking about something from grassroots level, we have to think that which is accessible for everyone, not just one person.
Thank you for that. How about ma'am? The one line that what you want to change, what you want to see in 2026. And
2026 may be hard, but I definitely want to see a world because for me, inclusivity is not just accessibility, right? It is about education, it is about culture, it is about communication. Accessibility is one spectrum in the wheel, but not just the whole aspect of it. So, an inclusive India where it is, we are not seeing anyone left behind, right? Everyone, because if we respect our knowledge or transformation, I think India is going to be bigger than any other country. It's just that we undervalue ourselves. So let's value ourselves in that aspect.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Sir. I mean, being an IITian there as professor, we've been listening to you, those heavy and extremely sensitive comments. It is extremely important. Coming from you because you are in a previous technical institute of the past, where you want to see the researchers and then the ground reality. A short answer, please.
Yeah, online. Highest quality training, open availability of highest quality training. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, the same question to you that you want to, you mentioned a lot of points, extremely sensitive points, but when it comes to barriers, then the first thing you want to change in one line, of course.
It's about the mindset. We are not in the receiving end, we are in the giving end. We need full acceptance rather than having partial acceptance. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for that. And Kumar, sir, when it comes to vocational training, you mentioned about STEM, you mentioned about inaccessible content. The first thing you want to change, what is that?
Whatever is in the document, it's a policy that has to be followed, there has to be put it in an action. Only then we can see the accessible and inclusive society there. So don't keep it as a policy and put it in action.
Strong words. I'm very happy for that. And thank you to all of you. Thanks for coming here. It's a privilege for me. It is really difficult job for me to summarize this such intensive discussion. But yes, now we all are AI fight and then everyone's using AI. Even my responsibility is to put everything in bulleted points. For me. So accessibility has to be there by design, number one. Accessibility has to be there on priority. It is not a last thing, but first thing. We always mention shift left. I'll like to add that top to bottom approach because unless until your leadership is sensitized, you won't be able to do any changes, any modification in your organization, in your mindset. Extremely important. And we are in this auditorium where we've named after the Dr. APJ Abdul. I've started my session on this note. And again, I was referring to those books and then articles which is written by him. There's always a point where he mentions that sustainable technology is going to take you ahead because you are not leaving anyone behind. We should not leave anyone behind. I mean, and then there's a quote which is very important, that is we are I mean, basically doing it for everyone, not for a pocket of audience. So let's do this. Accessibility has to be by design. Let's be inclusive. Let's be accessible. And I would like to see India as a country which is leading this change. Thank you.
But sincere thanks to all our esteemed panel members for sharing such a valuable insight and engaging in truly thought-provoking discussion on innovation. A special note of thanks to Mr. Saidar and I request Dr. Padmaja Joshi ma'am to join us on the dais to honor the panel.
Sincere apologies for taking time. Just 2 minutes, nothing much. I'm a professor, myself is Abdurrahman, and my background is empowering the visually impaired as people here. I joined the team. Now, just few more points because I don't want to. One is the Tally software. See, there's a software that everyone uses in more financial sector. Because if the Tally software, if it becomes more accessible, if you can bring in an add-on or any other additional application that could support or enable the Tally software to be more active, to be more performative in terms of using with the screen reading software for a visually impaired. There are people who visually impaired in the MBA finance and MBA or financial background, financial business. They can use this Tally for to the best extent. There are people even working as starter accountant. So people here are really learner gathering. So you could think of these lines. That is why I'm specifically targeting this particular software. That is one. Two, there's another hospital, right? When we talk about the health and hygiene, the reproductive aspects for women, like hospital or medicine is an area where we need more accessible intervention, start from the entry and from the entry level to the coming out from the hospital as such. There are plenty of documents, there are plenty of Medicare being done inside the hospitals, which is an unknown way for a person with visual impairment. You really need to have at least a little partial vision or low vision or something. Another person with a disability who is having sight can manage to some extent. But person with visual impairment absolutely clueless of what is being done to the relative or so on. Yeah, so medical intervention, medicine and hospital, all this to be taken care. I would urge you all to pay attention over there. There are a lot of things can be done. They were spoken of, but considering the time. Last but not the least, the kindly treat this technology. We use a watch, we use a slipper or specs. Everything is assisting us. Right? It is nothing specifically the sticker or assisting. Right? Everything is assisting everyone. So there's nothing called assistive device. It is all the same. Technology for the blind, technology for the dog, technology for hearing impact. We can define that way. Right? That is the right way to approach, I believe. The second thing is when we talk about this special school or special, nothing is special. Everything is same. Educators, right? Or children with visual impairment, children with hearing impairment, or teachers for visual impairment like that. Only when you have a terminology like that, you look at the root of the problem. And when you look at the root of the problem, you come up with the answer. Right? The only thing is, one last device I want to propose to your attention. A device, it should be like a plate. Right? The plate, if you open the plate, there should be a A4 sheet should be kept, or the paper material should be kept. If there's a design, if I press a button, the tagline should rise up. Right? It should be in a 3D format or a 2D format, 3D, 3 dimensional or 2 dimensional. So the idea is there should not be any specific office or press or something like that, right, where I should go and search for an active material. It should be a handy, a small slate or mat like thing, carry it in my bag. I should open the book and insert the page with the design. And once I press a button, it has to come up with the design. The tactile should come up. The student should read and go off with it. Right? So the tactile is very essential for STEM education and lab experiments and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. Anyway,
So I'm getting it from the boss. Sure.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I request all the participants to take a short tea break. The refreshments are available outside the auditorium, and the pan and refreshments are given in the VC. Thank you so much.